The morning sun rose slowly over the rocky hills of Kepler 442b, painting the sky in soft orange colors. Commander Taemin Park stood at the window of his small office, watching the miners start their daily work. The colony looked peaceful and quiet, just like every other morning for the past 3 years. Another normal day, he thought to himself, sipping his hot coffee. The bitter taste reminded him of home on Earth, though that felt like a lifetime. Taemin was not a tall man, but he had strong shoulders and kind eyes that made people trust him. His black hair was getting gray at the sides, showing his 42 years of life. He wore simple work clothes like everyone else in the colony. Nothing fancy or military looking. The colony of New Hope was small but busy. 847 people lived here, all working together to dig valuable minerals from the ground. The buildings were simple metal boxes connected by covered walkways. Everything looked basic and cheap, built only for work and survival. Dr. Sora Kim walked into his office carrying a data pad. She was the colony's doctor and also studied alien life forms, though they had never found any on this planet. Sora was 35 years old with long black hair tied back in a simple tail. She always wore her white medical coat even when she was not working with patients. "Good morning, Commander," she said with a smile. "The health reports are all good. No one is sick, and the air quality is normal." "That's good news," Taemin replied. "How are the new families settling in?" "Very well. The children love exploring the caves near the South Mine. I told them to be careful, but you know how kids are." Taemin nodded. The colony was like a big family now. Everyone knew everyone else. People helped each other when times were hard. This was exactly what he had hoped for when he left his military job to start this new life. Engineer Woo Jin Lee burst through the door, his face excited. Woo Jin was a big man with thick arms from years of heavy work. His clothes were always dirty with dust and oil, and he never seemed to care. At 38 years old, he was the strongest person in the colony and could fix anything that broke. "Commander, Dr. Kim, you need to see this," he said, holding up a small device. The long-range sensors picked up something big coming our way. Taemin felt his stomach drop. "How big?" "Really big. Like 12 ships big, and they're not from Earth or any human colony." Sora moved closer to look at the readings. "These energy signatures are strange. I've never seen anything like them." Before anyone could say more, pilot Hana Choi ran into the room. Hana was the youngest of the group at 29, with short black hair and quick movements. She flew the colony's transport ships and was always full of energy. Today, her face looked worried. "Commander, we have a problem," she said, breathing hard. "I was doing my morning flight check when I saw them. 12 massive ships, bigger than anything humans have ever built. They're coming straight for us." Taemin felt his old military training kick in. His peaceful farmer act was about to end. "How long until they get here?" 6 hours, maybe 7, Hana answered. Communications officer Dong-ho Nam appeared in the doorway. Dong-ho was a quiet man of 41 who rarely spoke unless he had something important to say. His thin face and careful eyes missed nothing. He held a communication device that was making strange beeping sounds. "Commander, they're trying to talk to us," Dong-ho said in his calm voice. "I think I can translate their language. Give me a few minutes." Everyone waited while Dong-ho worked with the alien signals. The room was very quiet except for the electronic sounds from his equipment. After what felt like forever, Dong-ho looked up with a serious face. "It's not good news," he said. "They call themselves the Viridian Hunter Fleet. They're telling us to surrender or they will destroy everything." "How long do we have?" Taemin asked, though he already knew the answer would not be good. "1 day. They say if we don't give up in 1 day, they will kill everyone and take the planet." Sora sat down hard in a chair. 800 people against 12 warships, that's not good odds. Woojin laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Good odds? Lady, that's not even close to fair odds. That's just crazy." Hana was looking out the window at the colony. People were walking around going to work, children playing in the streets. They had no idea what was coming. "Should we tell everyone?" she asked. Taemin thought for a moment. These people had come here to escape war and violence. They wanted a simple life, growing food and raising families. Now death was coming from the stars and there was nowhere to run. Yes, we tell them, he decided. But first I need to know something. All of you came here from different places, different jobs. I never asked too many questions because everyone deserves a fresh start. But now I need to know, what could you really do before you became colonists? The room became very quiet. Everyone looked at each other with strange expressions. Dr. Sora Kim spoke first. I was not just a doctor on Earth. I worked for the military, studying alien diseases and how to fight them. I also know how to make weapons from medical supplies. Engineer Woojin Lee grinned. I built things, yes, but not just mines and houses. I used to make bombs for the Earth Defense Force, big bombs that could destroy entire buildings. Pilot Hana. Choi looked embarrassed. I didn't fly transport ships before. I was a test pilot for the newest military fighters. I know how to make any flying machine into a weapon. Communications Officer Dongho Nam just smiled quietly. I did not just handle communications. I was in military intelligence. I know how to get into enemy systems and how to make them afraid. Timon looked at his friends with new eyes. These simple colonists were not simple at all. Well, he said slowly, that changes things. What do we do, Commander? Sora asked. Timon stood up straight, and for the first time in 3 years he looked like the military officer he used to be. We do what humans always do when someone tries to take what's ours. We make them regret it. Outside, the normal sounds of the colony continued. People worked, children played, and life went on. But inside the commander's office, 4 peaceful colonists were becoming something else. They were remembering who they used to be. The Viridian hunter fleet was still 6 hours away. They thought they were coming to conquer simple miners. They had no idea they were about to meet humans who had stories of their own. And human stories, as the galaxy was about to learn, could be very dangerous things. The Viridian hunter fleet moved through space like hungry wolves. Huntmaster Vextar stood on the bridge of his command ship, looking at the small planet ahead. His tall, thin body was covered in dark scales that changed color with his mood. Right now they were a confident blue-green. Another easy victory, he thought to himself. In 50 years of hunting, he had conquered over 200 worlds. This small human colony would be just another number on his long list. Captain Mordek walked up to him, carrying a data tablet. Mordek was younger, but just as deadly. His scales were bright orange, showing his excitement for the coming battle. Huntmaster, our scouts have finished looking at the human settlement, Mordek said with a sharp-toothed grin. This will be the easiest conquest we have ever done. Vextar took the tablet and looked at the information. The human colony was tiny, only 847 people. Their buildings were simple metal boxes. Their technology looked old and basic. He saw mining equipment, transport ships, and basic communication systems. Nothing that looked like weapons or defenses. They do not even have shields around their colony, Mordek laughed. No weapon systems, no military ships. They are just simple miners digging in the dirt. Vextar nodded slowly. What about their response to our surrender demand? No response at all, Huntmaster. They are probably too scared to even talk to us. The Huntmaster felt a little disappointed. He enjoyed a good fight, but this would be over too quickly. Very well. Send 200 hunters in the first wave. That should be more than enough to capture them all. 200? Huntmaster, we could take this colony with 50 hunters, Mordek said. Do not underestimate any prey, Captain. That is how hunters become the hunted. But even as he said it, Vexitar did not really believe his own words. The humans looked completely helpless. Down on the planet, Commander Taman Park was holding a meeting with all the colonists. The big dining hall was packed with worried faces. Parents held their children close. The older people looked scared but determined. I will not lie to you, Taman said in a loud, clear voice. 12 alien warships are coming to attack us. They want us to surrender, or they will destroy our home. People started talking all at once. Some voices were angry, others were afraid. A woman named Mrs. Choi stood up. Commander, should we try to escape? Can our ships get away? No, Hana Choi answered from the back of the room. Their ships are too fast, they would catch us easily. An old man named Mr. Yoon raised his hand. Then we fight? Yes, Taemin said. We fight, but not the way they expect us to fight. Dr. Sora Kim stood up. Everyone, listen carefully. We need to work together if we want to live. Each person has skills that can help us. Teachers can help with planning. Cooks know about chemicals. Farmers understand the land. Even children can help by staying safe and quiet. Engineer Woo Jin Lee stepped forward. I need to tell you all something. This colony was not built just for mining. I designed every building, every tunnel, every piece of equipment to be used for defense if we needed it. People looked surprised. Their simple mining colony was actually a hidden fortress? The main tunnels can be sealed off in sections, Woo Jin explained. The mining charges can be used as bombs. The drilling equipment can be turned into weapons. Even the air circulation system can be used to move around without being seen. Communications Officer Dong Ho Nam spoke up. I have been listening to the alien communications. They think we are weak and helpless. That is good. Let them think that. Hana Choi walked to the front of the room. Our transport ships are not fast enough to run away, but they can be changed into something else. I know how to make them fight. A young teacher named Ms. Park asked, What can people like me do? I do not know how to fight or build weapons. Taemin smiled at her. You teach children, right? You know how to make people learn new things quickly. We need that skill. Everyone will need to learn something new in the next few hours. Dr. Sora Kim was already thinking ahead. I need to study the alien biology. If I can understand how their bodies work, I might find a way to stop them without killing them. Why would we want to avoid killing them? Someone asked. Because, Dong Ho Nam said quietly, dead enemies cannot tell stories about how dangerous humans are. Live enemies who are defeated can spread fear to other alien races. The meeting went on for 2 more hours. People volunteered for different jobs. The teachers would help organize groups. The cooks would prepare supplies and learn to make chemical weapons from kitchen materials. The farmers would use their knowledge of the land to set up hiding places and escape routes. Children would stay in the deepest parts of the mine with some adults to protect them. But even the children had jobs. They would help carry messages through the small tunnels that only they were small enough to use. Meanwhile, in space, the Viridian scouts were sending more reports to Huntmaster Vextar. The humans are moving around more than usual, reported Scout Leader Kethra, but they still show no weapons. They appear to be hiding. Captain Mordek laughed. Of course they are hiding. They know they cannot fight us. What about their technology? Vexatar asked. Very basic, Huntmaster. Their mining equipment is old but functional. Their transport ships are slow and poorly armed. Their communication systems are simple. They have no advanced computers or artificial intelligence. Vextar looked at the data again. The humans had some advantages. They knew the land, they were fighting for their homes, and they had nowhere to run. But they were so few and so poorly equipped. How could they possibly resist the mighty Viridian hunter fleet? Sir, Scout Leader Kethra said, there is one strange thing. The humans keep talking to each other on open communication channels. They are not trying to hide their conversations. What are they saying? They are telling stories, Huntmaster. Stories about their past, about other humans who fought in wars. It is very strange behavior for people about to be conquered. Captain Mordek waved his hand dismissively. They are trying to make themselves feel brave by talking about old battles. It means nothing. But Huntmaster Vextar felt a small worry in his chest. In all his years of hunting, he had learned that when prey acted strangely, there was usually a reason. Double the first attack force, he ordered. Send 400 hunters instead of 200. Huntmaster, that is still too many for such a small colony, Mordek protested. Better to use too much force than too little, Vextar replied. Down on the planet, Dong Ho Nam was listening to the alien communications. He smiled as he heard them change their attack plans. They are sending 400 instead of 200, he told Commander Park. Good, Timon said. That means they are starting to worry even if they do not admit it. Are we ready? Dr. Sora Kim asked. Woo Jin Lee grinned and patted a small device on his belt. The welcome party is all set up. Hana Choi checked her modified equipment one more time. The mining shuttles are ready to fly. Taemin looked around at his people, simple colonists who had become something more. Remember, everyone, we are not trying to win a fair fight. We are trying to make them understand that humans are not easy prey. As the sun set on Kepler 442b, the Viridian hunter fleet prepared for what they thought would be a quick and easy victory. They had no idea that the simple miners below were about to teach them a lesson about underestimating humans. The hunt was about to begin, but the question was, who was really hunting? Whom? Sub-Commander Kreltha led 400 Viridian hunters down to the planet's surface. He was an old warrior with dark purple scales and many battle scars. He had conquered 30 worlds and never lost a single battle. This will be easy, he told his troops as their ships landed near the human colony. Stay in groups of 10. Capture any humans you find. Kill only if they resist. The landing area was quiet and empty. No humans came out to fight or surrender. The metal buildings looked deserted, with doors hanging open and no lights inside. Where is everyone? Asked Hunter Zilka, a young warrior on his first conquest. Hiding in fear, Krelta answered with confidence. Search every building. They cannot have gone far. The Viridian hunters spread out across the colony. Their advanced weapons could cut through metal like paper. Their armor protected them from most human weapons. They moved like trained killers, which is exactly what they were. But the buildings were all empty. No humans, no bodies, no signs of fighting. Just empty rooms and abandoned meals on tables. Sub-Commander called Hunter Morkel from near the main entrance to the mines. I found something strange. These tunnel entrances are much bigger than they need to be for mining. Kreltha walked over to look. The tunnel was wide and tall with metal supports that looked stronger than necessary. So? Humans build things too big. It shows they are wasteful. But look at these marks on the walls, Morkel pointed. These are not from mining tools. Before Krelta could answer, a voice echoed from speakers hidden around the colony. It was speaking in perfect Viridian language. Welcome to New Hope Colony, the voice said calmly. It was Dong Ho Nam, though the aliens did not know that. You are looking for humans. We are here. Come into the tunnels if you want to find us. Krelta smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Finally, they want to talk. This trap is too obvious. They think we are stupid. Should we go in, Sub-Commander? Asked Zilka. Of course. 400 trained hunters against a few hundred scared miners? What could go wrong? The Viridian forces entered the mine tunnels in groups. The passages were well lit and seemed safe. The walls were smooth metal and the floor was even. It looked like any other mining operation. But after walking for 10 minutes, something strange happened. The group at the back of the line stopped, answering their communication calls. Group 7, report, Kreltha called into his communicator. Nothing. Group 6, what is your status? Sub-Commander, Group 7 is gone. We found their weapons and armor, but no bodies. It is like they just disappeared. Kreltha felt a cold fear in his stomach. In 30 conquests, he had never lost contact with his troops like this. The voice spoke again from the hidden speakers. You are wondering what happened to your friends. They are alive, but they are sleeping. Dr. Sora Kim used a gas that works very well on your species. Do not worry. They will wake up in a few hours. Impossible, Kreltha muttered. How do they know about Viridian biology? As if hearing his thoughts, the voice continued. We studied the bodies of your scout drones. Your people need a special mix of gases to breathe. Change that mix just a little and you fall asleep. Change it more, and you die. We chose sleep. Group 6 also went quiet. Then Group 5. The Viridian hunters were disappearing one by one, pulled into side tunnels, or overwhelmed by invisible enemies. Fall back, Kreltha ordered. Return to the surface. But when they tried to leave, they found that the tunnel entrances had been sealed. Heavy metal doors had dropped down, trapping them inside. "Now you begin to understand," the voice said. "These are not just mining tunnels. Engineer Woojin Lee designed them as a trap. Every passage can be closed. Every room can be filled with sleeping gas. Every tunnel has hidden doors that only we know about." The remaining hunters grouped together in a large chamber. There were about 200 of them left, but they felt surrounded and confused. Suddenly, explosions echoed through the tunnels, not big enough to kill, but loud enough to hurt their sensitive hearing. The blast came from all directions, making the Viridians panic and fire their weapons at shadows. "Stop shooting!" Krelta yelled. "You are wasting ammunition!" But his troops were scared now. These were not the helpless miners they expected to fight. These humans were playing with them like cats playing with mice. The voice spoke again, but this time it was different. Instead of threats, it was telling a story. Long ago on Earth, there was a place called Thermopylae. 300 human warriors held off an army of thousands. They knew they would probably die, but they fought anyway because it was their home. "What is the point of this story?" Krelta shouted at the speakers. "The point, Sub-Commander Krelta, yes, we know your name, is that humans have been fighting bigger, stronger enemies for thousands of years. We are very good at it. More explosions, more sleeping gas, more hunters disappearing into side passages that appeared from nowhere. There was also a human named David who killed a giant with just a small stone, and human pilots who crashed their planes into enemy ships rather than surrender, and soldiers who held bridges against impossible odds just to give their friends time to escape. By now, only 50 Viridian hunters were left awake and fighting. They huddled together in the center of the chamber, afraid to move. "You see," the voice continued, "you made a mistake. You thought we were just miners. But humans are never just one thing. A teacher can be a warrior. A doctor can be a weapons expert. A farmer can be a tactician. This is what makes us dangerous." The lights went out. In the complete darkness, the Viridians heard movement all around them. Footsteps, whispers, the sound of equipment being moved. When the lights came back on, the humans were there. Commander Tae-min Park stood in front of them, wearing simple work clothes but carrying himself like a soldier. Dr. So-ra Kim was beside him with a medical device that was clearly modified to be a weapon. Engineer Woojin Lee held a remote control that could probably seal every tunnel in the mine. Pilot Hana Choi had somehow gotten behind them, blocking their escape. "Sub-Commander Krelta," Tae-min said politely. "I am Commander Park. I think we need to talk." Krelta looked around at his remaining troops. 50 hunters out of 400. All of them defeated not by superior weapons, but by superior thinking. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice shaking. "To make you an offer," Tae-min replied. "You can return to your ship. Take your sleeping warriors with you. Tell your huntmaster what happened here." "And if we refuse?" Dr. So-ra Kim smiled and held up her modified medical device. "Then you join your friends in their nice long sleep." Krelta had no choice. He nodded agreement. 2 hours later, 50 very quiet Viridian hunters carried their unconscious comrades back to their landing ships. Sub-Commander Krelta sat in his command chair, staring at nothing. "Sub-Commander?" asked Hunter Zilka. "What? Do we tell Huntmaster Vextar?" Krelta was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. "We tell him the truth. We tell him that these humans are not what they appear to be. We tell him that they fight like demons and think like devils." "But sir, how can simple miners defeat trained Viridian hunters?" Krelta looked at the young warrior with tired eyes. "That is exactly the question Huntmaster Vextar is going to ask, and I do not have a good answer." As the Viridian ships returned to their fleet, Communications Officer Dong-ho Nam watched them go from his hidden position. "Phase 1 complete," he reported to Commander Park. "They are scared, confused, and wondering what they got themselves into." "Good," Tae-min replied. "Now they know we are not helpless, but they still do not know how dangerous we really are. The first battle was over, but it was only the beginning." Huntmaster Vextar stared at Sub-Commander Krelta with disbelief. His scales had turned dark red, showing his anger and embarrassment. You lost 350 hunters to a colony of miners? He asked in a dangerous voice. Kreltha stood straight, but his hands were shaking. Huntmaster, these are not ordinary humans. They have turned their entire colony into a weapon. They know things about our biology that should be impossible. They fight with tactics I have never seen before. Excuses, Captain Mordek spat. You were defeated by fear, not by humans. Then you lead the next attack, Kreltha shot back. Take 5,000 hunters and see how you do. Vextar raised his hand for silence. He had been thinking about the humans' strange behavior. They had not tried to run away. They had not begged for mercy. Instead, they had fought back in ways that made no sense. Tell me again about their weapons, he ordered. They barely used any weapons, Huntmaster. Mostly they used our own bodies against us. Sleeping gas that affects only Viridians. Sounds that hurt our hearing. They sealed us in tunnels and picked us off one by one. And they let you live? Yes, sir. They could have killed all of us. But they chose not to. The human commander said he wanted us to return and tell you what happened. Vextar thought about this. In 50 years of conquest, no prey species had ever voluntarily let his hunters go. They always fought to the death or surrendered completely. These humans were doing something different. Prepare the full assault force, he decided. 5,000 hunters with heavy weapons and air support. If these humans want to play games, we will show them what real war looks like. Down on the planet, pilot Hana Choi was working on her secret project. She had spent the last day modifying the colony's mining shuttles in ways that should have been impossible. Hana, what are you doing to my ships? Asked Transport Chief Kyung-ho Min, watching. Her weld strange devices to the hull, making them better. She replied without looking up. Her hands moved with the skill of someone who had built aircraft for years. These old mining shuttles have good bones. Strong engines, tough hulls. They just need some improvements. She had taken apart the mining equipment and rebuilt it as weapons. Drilling lasers became ship guns. Cargo clamps became missile systems. Navigation computers were reprogrammed with military flight patterns she remembered from her test pilot days. Can they really fight Viridian warships? Kyung-ho asked. Hana grinned. They are not supposed to fight warships. They are supposed to do things that warships cannot do. Meanwhile, Dr. Sora Kim was working in her laboratory with several other colonists. She had been studying the Viridian biology data from the captured scout drones. Fascinating, she murmured, looking at test results. Their symbiotic organisms are very sensitive to specific sound frequencies. What does that mean? Asked lab assistant Ji-Hai Park. It means Engineer Lee's mining equipment can do more than dig holes, Sora explained. The sonic drilling tools can be modified to broadcast frequencies that will disrupt Viridian biological functions. Will it kill them? No. But it will make them very sick and confused, much more useful than killing them. Engineer Woo-Jin Lee was in the deepest parts of the mine with a team of volunteers. They were preparing his biggest surprise yet. Are you sure about this? Asked miner Sung-Ho Kim, looking nervously at the massive explosives Woo-Jin was installing. I have done this before, Woo-Jin replied calmly. During the Earth-Mars wars, I learned how to turn entire asteroids into weapons. This asteroid we are mining is much smaller, but the principle is the same. You are going to blow up our home? Only if I have to. But first, the Viridians need to understand what they are really fighting for. Communications Officer Dong-Ho Nam was busy with his own preparation. He had hacked into the Viridian communication networks and was preparing to broadcast across their entire fleet. Commander Park, he called. I am ready to begin the psychological phase. Taemin nodded. Do it. Make them understand that this is not just about one small colony. Dong-Ho activated his equipment and began broadcasting on all Viridian frequencies, but instead of threats or demands, he told stories. Attention Viridian hunter fleet, his voice echoed through every ship. You have come to conquer what you think is a small human colony, but you do not understand what you are really fighting. This is Viridian frequency, Captain Mordek shouted. How are they doing this? Dong-Ho continued as if he had heard. Let me tell you about humans. We are a species that has been fighting each other for thousands of years. We have had wars that killed millions. We have built weapons that could destroy entire planets. We are very, very good at violence. On the Viridian ships, hunters started listening despite themselves. But the strange thing about humans is that we are also very good at peace. The people you're trying to conquer came here to escape war. They wanted to grow food, raise children, and live quiet lives. Huntmaster Vextar tried to turn off the broadcast, but Dong Ho had somehow locked onto their systems. You see, when humans choose peace, it is not because we are weak. It is because we are tired of being strong. But when someone threatens our peaceful life, we remember very quickly how to be dangerous. The voice paused, then continued with a different tone. Sub-Commander, Kreltha learned this yesterday. 350 of your best hunters learned this. They are alive because we chose mercy. But mercy is a choice we make. It is not a weakness you can exploit. On his command ship, Vextar felt something he had not felt in many years. Doubt. The colony you want to destroy was built by Commander Taemin Park, who led human forces during the Titan Rebellion. Dr. Sora Kim developed biological weapons for the Earth Defense Force. Engineer Woo Jin Lee built the explosive devices that ended the Mars War. Pilot Hana Choi tested the fastest and most dangerous aircraft humans have ever built. Captain Mordek's scales turned pale. Huntmaster, if this is true, and Communications Officer Dong Ho Nam, the voice continued, who is talking to you right now, spent 10 years making enemy soldiers surrender without firing a single shot. The broadcast ended, but the damage was done. Word spread through the Viridian fleet that they were not fighting simple miners, but retired human military specialists. Launch the attack anyway, Vextar ordered, but his voice lacked confidence. The battle began an hour later. 5,000 Viridian hunters attacked the colony with everything they had, but this time, the humans were ready with surprises that no one expected. Hana's modified mining shuttles rose from hidden hangars and began dancing between the massive Viridian warships. They were too small and fast for the big guns to target, but they struck with precision at weak points in the alien armor. How are they doing that? Screamed Captain Mordek as a tiny human ship somehow disabled one of his weapon systems. They are flying like madmen, replied his weapons officer. But Hana was not flying like a madman. She was flying like someone who had tested experimental aircraft for years and knew exactly how far she could push the limits. On the ground, Dr. Sora's sonic weapons began broadcasting frequencies that made the Viridian hunters sick and disoriented. They stumbled around, unable to aim their weapons or coordinate their attacks, and deep in the mines, Engineer Woo Jin Lee sat with his hand on a detonator that could turn the entire asteroid into a massive bomb. Huntmaster, he broadcast on an open channel. This is Engineer Lee. I want you to understand something. This asteroid contains enough explosive material to destroy your entire fleet. I am the only person who knows how to stop the detonation. Sequence. You're bluffing, Vextar replied, but his voice was uncertain. Am I? In exactly 60 seconds, you will see a small explosion on the asteroid's north face. That will be 1% of 1% of the total explosive power I have installed here. 60 seconds later, a section of the asteroid erupted in a controlled explosion that was visible from space. As you can see, Wu Jin continued calmly, I am not bluffing. You have a choice, Huntmaster. Leave now or we all die together. For the first time in 50 years of conquest, Huntmaster Vextar felt afraid. These humans were not just fighting back. They were willing to destroy themselves to stop him. But more than that, they were making him question everything he thought. He knew about strength, about victory, and about what it meant to be a hunter. Huntmaster Vextar sat alone in his command chamber, staring at the small planet below. Half of his fleet was damaged. Thousands of his best hunters were injured or confused. And for the first time in 50 years, he was considering retreat. Huntmaster, Captain Mordek entered carefully. The humans are requesting to speak with you. They want to surrender? Vextar asked hopefully. No, sir. They want to negotiate. Vextar's scales turned purple with confusion. Negotiate? Prey species did not negotiate. They either surrendered or died fighting. What were these humans doing? Very well, he decided. I will meet with their leader, but only to understand what kind of creatures we are dealing with. An hour later, Huntmaster Vextar stood in the colony's main meeting hall. It was a simple room with basic furniture and no decorations, nothing that showed wealth or power. But the human who waited for him was different from what he expected. Commander Taemin Park looked calm and confident. He wore simple work clothes, but he carried himself like a warrior. His eyes were kind but alert, missing nothing. Huntmaster Vextar, Taemin said with a respectful nod. Thank you for coming. Please sit down. We have much to discuss. Vextar remained standing. I do not negotiate with prey. Neither do I, Taemin replied with a small smile. That is why we need to talk. The Viridian leader felt confused again. What do you mean? You came here thinking we were weak miners who would surrender easily. We defended ourselves thinking you were mindless killers who only understood violence. Both of us were wrong. Dr. Sora Kim entered the room carrying a medical scanner. Huntmaster, may I? She asked politely. Before Vexitar could object, she had scanned him with her device. Fascinating. Your species has been in space for centuries, but you still suffer from nutritional deficiencies that cause joint pain and scale weakness. I could fix that for you. Why would you help me? Vextar asked suspiciously. Because fixing problems is what I do, Sora replied simply. I am a doctor. Healing people makes me happy, even if they are not human people. Engineer Woojin Lee walked in next, carrying a tablet covered with technical diagrams. Huntmaster, your ships are well built, but they waste a lot of energy. I could show your engineers how to improve their efficiency by 30%. Again, why? Because I like solving engineering problems, Woojin said with a grin. It does not matter if the problem belongs to humans or aliens. A problem is a problem. Pilot Hana Choi appeared in the doorway. Your flight formations are terrible, she announced cheerfully. You fly like you are still fighting wars from 100 years ago. Space combat has changed. I could teach your pilots some new techniques. And I, said Communications Officer Dong Ho Nam entering quietly, could help you understand why your conquest method is actually making you weaker instead of stronger. Vextar looked around at the four humans. Each one had nearly destroyed his fleet using skills he did not understand. Now they were offering to help him. This makes no sense, he said. You defeated my hunters. You could have killed thousands of my people. Why did you not? Commander Taemin sat down at the simple table and gestured for Vextar to join him. Reluctantly, the Huntmaster sat down. Let me ask you a question, Taemin said. What are you hunting for? Worlds, resources, victory. But why? What is the purpose? Vextar was quiet for a long moment. To make the Viridian people strong. And has it worked? Are your people stronger now than when you started conquering worlds 50 years ago? The question hit Vextar like a physical blow. He thought about his people, always moving, always fighting, never building anything permanent, never growing anything new. We are the most feared hunters in the galaxy, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Fear is not the same as strength, Dr. Sora said gently. A person can be feared because they are sick and dangerous, but that does not make them strong. Your people are nomads because you never learned how to build homes, Engineer Woojin added. You take what others create instead of creating things yourselves. Your military tactics have not improved because you never face enemies who can teach you new things, Pilot Hana continued. You only fight weaker opponents. And your culture is dying, Dong Ho Nam said quietly. Because you only remember stories about conquest. You have forgotten stories about discovery, about creation, about love and friendship and hope. Vextar felt something breaking inside his chest. These humans were not just offering to help him. They were showing him that his entire way of life was a dead end. What do you suggest? He asked in a voice barely above a whisper. Commander Taemin leaned forward. Stop hunting for a while. Try building something instead. Learn what it feels like to create instead of destroy. We do not know how to build, Vextar admitted. We do, Sora said with a warm smile. We could teach you. But why would you do this? We came here to conquer you. Taman was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Huntmaster, let me tell you something about humans. We have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have killed millions of our own species. We have built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. Vextar nodded. He had heard these stories in Dongho's broadcasts. But we learned something, Taman continued. Fighting is easy. Any animal can fight. Building something better than what came before, that is hard. That takes real strength. We came to this colony to escape war, Dr. Sora added. But we brought our knowledge with us. Knowledge of how to heal, how to build, how to solve problems. When you attacked us, we used that knowledge to defend ourselves, Engineer Wujin said, but we would rather use it to help you build something new. What kind of something? Vextar asked. Pilot Hana grinned. Whatever you want. Cities that float in space, ships that can travel between galaxies, art and music and stories that will make people remember your culture for 1,000 years. Communications Officer Dongho Nam stood up and walked to the window. Huntmaster, look outside. Vextar joined him at the window. Outside, human colonists were working alongside Viridian hunters, who had been injured in the fighting. Dr. Sora's medical team was treating alien wounds while Engineer Wujin's people were helping repair damaged Viridian equipment. Your hunters and our colonists are already working together, Dongho observed. It happened naturally without orders from anyone. This is what cooperation looks like. But my people are warriors, Vextar protested weakly. So are we, Commander Taemin said firmly. But we learned that the strongest warriors are the ones who know when not to fight. Huntmaster Vextar stood at the window for a long time, watching humans and Viridians work side by side. For the first time in decades, he saw his people learning, instead of conquering. If I agreed to try this cooperation, he said slowly, what would happen to my fleet? Keep your fleet, Taemin replied. But instead of hunting for conquest, hunt for knowledge. Explore new worlds not to conquer them, but to learn from them. Become the first species in the galaxy known for making friends instead of enemies. And if other species try to attack us while we are learning to build instead of fight, Dr. Sora Kim smiled. Then you call on your friends for help. That is what friends do. 3 months later, the Viridian hunter fleet had become the Viridian Explorer fleet. Half of their ships were exploring new worlds, looking for species to trade with instead of conquer. The other half were learning construction techniques from human engineers. Huntmaster Vextar, now calling himself Explorer Master Vextar, stood on the bridge of his command ship reading reports from across the galaxy. Other species were starting to notice the change. Some were curious, some were hopeful, some were afraid that this was a trick. But word was spreading about the humans of New Hope Colony, the species that had turned the most feared hunters in the galaxy into explorers and builders, not through superior firepower, but through superior. Diasna Captain Mordek, now Captain Engineer Mordek, entered with a data tablet. Explorer Master, we have received communication requests from 17 different species. They want to know if the stories about the humans are true. What stories? Vextar asked. That they can defeat any enemy without destroying them. That they can turn hunters into builders, warriors into healers, conquest into cooperation. Vextar thought about Commander Taemin Park and his simple colony of former warriors who chose to grow food instead of wage war. Tell them, he said slowly, that the stories are true, and tell them that if they want to learn how humans do these impossible things, they should come to New Hope Colony and listen to the stories themselves. What kind of stories, Explorer Master? Vextar's scales turned a warm gold color, showing contentment and hope. Stories about why the strongest warriors are the ones who know when to stop fighting. Stories about why the best hunters are the ones who know what is really worth hunting for. He looked out at the stars, no longer seeing them as territories to conquer but as mysteries to explore. Stories about why even alien hunters believe humans when they say there is always a better way. The end. But across the galaxy, it was really just the beginning, because humans, as the universe was learning, had many more stories to tell.